and the U.S. have reiterated their condemnation of North Korea's missile tests, and the U.S. has flown 2 bombers over the South China Sea in defiance of China's claim to the sensitive area.
It's 12:01.
KLEK-LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Our Thoughts on the Matter, a program offering opinions from all sides of the issues concerning local, state, and national topics of importance to the Jonesboro community. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters, donors, or sponsors.
KLEK 102.5 FM. Good afternoon to you on your Saturday. It's July 8th, 2017. This is Our Thoughts on the Matter. Kato Wonder is in the studio with you. I am joined by Mrs. Amanda Donovan, Mr. Brad Dial, hello, and we have a very special guest panelist today, Mrs. Gail Raspberry, and she wrote this nice little long bio. I'm going to kind of read a little bit of it. She led the charge in Northeast Arkansas for Arkansans for Compassionate Care Medical Marijuana. I'm actually surprised she didn't have cannabis on here, because when we interviewed her in the past, she always insisted on saying cannabis instead of marijuana. Educating and petitioning from Blytheville to Helena, West Helena, my hometown, to Batesville. She lobbied state legislatures regarding laws introduced affecting medical cannabis policy. She's currently preparing for licensure announcements and job hunting, and founder of NEA Cannabis Advocates, a group helping to provide resources and assistance to patients in Northeast Arkansas. And so, judging by her bio, I think you kind of got a little feel of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about medical cannabis / marijuana, whatever you want to call it. Now that it has been made available, is the next step recreational marijuana / cannabis? And if so, what are we going to do about the people who are in jail right now for charges related to this? Will these people get some kind of amnesty or get released? And so we got a lot to talk about, and we've actually had a lot of comments on our Facebook live stream about this topic. So I'm going to go ahead and read the comments, and we're going to start our discussion. Shay Ewing actually said, I think recreational use is good. People think it's bad, but truth be told, it really helps most people at times. As long as you don't operate a vehicle while using it, I think it should be legal. It helps me relax and it relieves stress for me. I'm not sure what it does for everyone else, just my opinion. And Darlene Williams says, agree, Shay Ewing, it should be legalized for recreational use. Kelly Mendez says, better than pills and drinking. Brandon Lastly says, my opinion is recreational. It's a lot of hippies who do it, but on a serious note, it helps people who are sick and people who have and who suffer from chronic pain and aches. Anthony Callender says, love your name as well. That's not related to that. Angel Kendall says, I agree, better than drinking all day long. All it does is give you an appetite. If you have a hard time eating, it relaxes you as well. On the flip side of things, it makes you happy as well. We, as people that don't understand things like smoking, makes it a bad thing, but it is really not. At least you know what you did the next day, just saying. Let's see, Adam, I might put this up to the other screen. Okay, Adam Wheeler says, discuss my gun rights. People drink in bars can't go shoot and walk down the street with their licenses. Cannabis has never taken a life, knowing its own cause half the trouble alcohol after prohibition has caused in the United States. Demand corporations and political hands out of the pockets of Arkansans in America. I travel for a living, and nowhere in America is medical nor recreational causing reefer madness. This conversation has happened over my dinner table many times, and I'm glad to say the answer to this discussion is freedom and responsible decision making. It was the generation before us that created the monsters that they call millennials by overregulating simple thought processes. Does that mean I believe in ripping the labels of items, not through pushing liability of lawsuits, and Brother Cox to join us, and ripping the labels off items, though not pushing liability of lawsuits, is how this country is ran by the law. And only through reform will we fix medical cannabis PR crisis right down to the backbone of America. Rocky would be shame, Adrian, and hashtag. Mark Pillow, one of our faithful listeners, says, this is shaping up to be a lively one. Shay Ewan says, and she tags somebody in it, what do you think about this? And Shayla Kemia Moffitt, I don't know if any relation to Amanda. It should have been legal, period. It has a lot of health benefits that many people need. What should be questioned is prescription drugs, which results in death and other health problems all the time. Shay Ewan says, because the drugs the doctor give us are worse than smoking weed, the drugs they give us will cause death and all types of stuff, but not once have I ever heard of a person dying doing outrageous activity while smoking weed. It is a fact. Message. And we got 4 more replies to this. So as you see, this was something that very much resonated with our listeners. Shakimia Moffitt says, right, Shay Ewan says they're going to read our comments on here at 12 p.m. noon live on this page. Shakima says, what time zone? Central Standard Time. So, all right, as you see, this is a very hot topic according to our listeners. I've read enough of what some of them had to say. Of course, if you want to weigh in, we are streaming live on our Facebook page. You can leave your questions or your comments, or you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, the phone number is 870-277-1080.
We don't all speak at one time.
Well, I just read a mouthful, so I'm gonna let my mouth rest for a bit and let the panel kind of give your thoughts. Once again, for those tuning in, we are talking about now that medical cannabis / marijuana is now legal, is the next step recreational use, and if so, what will happen to those people who have been incarcerated on marijuana related charges? Should they be released, their time sentence, or what? So
let me throw some numbers at you, okay? I pulled some numbers off of the NORML website, and right now, out of 50 states and the District of Columbia, 13 states have some kind of decriminalization. 28 states, including Arkansas most recently, have passed some kind of industrial hemp bill, which can be a major boost to the economy with the textiles and other products that can be made from that, biofuels, and in addition to the kind of medications and food supplements that can be used with the hemp plant. So I'm really excited that Arkansas has passed a hemp bill, and I really hope that the industry will really take off in this state. We need to do everything we can to let our legislators and them know that, anything they can do to promote the hemp industry in this state will benefit us. It improves the soil. It absorbs more carbon dioxide than trees do.
It grows faster.
It grows really fast. It doesn't require as much irrigation or pesticide use. There's just so many reasons for the hemp. It's just awesome. But there are 14 states that have CBD only, which means they will only allow medical use of a marijuana / cannabis plant byproduct that is non-psychoactive. It contains none of the plant components that produce euphoria or have mind-altering, quote-unquote, effects. 9 states have passed full legalization, and 30 states have passed full medical, like Arkansas has, where THC is allowed in some form or another. So when you've got those kind of numbers that have started passing these laws individually, the federal government has to recognize that this is something they're going to have to stop putting in people in prison for. A lot of states are starting to reduce their penalties or, find ways to lessen the load on the prison system and everything. But, that brings the whole conversation around to for-profit prison systems.
That's right.
And organizations like the Justice Network,
which we
who make their living.
Which we'll talk about in the second
well,
segment.
yeah, it's all part of the same conversation, though. When you have for-profit prisons and organizations that make their living off the backs of criminals, it benefits them to continue the criminality of it.
What really burned me was seeing that Westside teacher get 2 days in jail for what he did to that student, and then turn around. I know somebody who got arrested for having something the size of a golf ball and spent 30 days in jail over it, and thousands of dollars in fines.
Right. And until we insist that our legislators do something to change this, it will continue. They will not give up the revenue. When you start talking about civil asset forfeiture and stuff like that, they're not ever going to, serve and protect should not be a revenue generating operation.
It's good. Let's bring in the men on the panel, see what they think about it. I think Brother Cobbs is itching to get a comment in.
He is.
Not really,
He is.
not really. Good afternoon, everyone. I just was saying that should the prison system be overturned because of because of the people that's in there for violating the Constitution of selling or distributing marijuana or whatsoever. If you're under the law, I'm sorry. It shouldn't change. If you got caught under the law, that was that law. I'm not going to let you out because a new law come along.
Yeah, I ride the fence on a lot of issues like that, whereas it was illegal, you got caught, you got sentenced. But I do think retroactively we should go back and review the sentences that were received for nonviolent offenses.
Why is that? I mean, you was up under the law stated so much of this you can have, so much of that you can have,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. You fell within that parameter.
Okay, so you're one of those. The law is the law.
Well, we're gonna come back to that. Let's get Brad in on
back
this.
to Brother Cobb here as well. It's like the crux of the matter is not what was illegal and what wasn't. It's the fact that these people broke the law. It's a criminal mind, period. You know, so
I don't disagree that maybe.
So at what point do you go, okay, it's fine now? If they broke the law that was already standing, they're gonna do it again.
Yes.
KLK, who's this? KLK, you on air? Who's this?
Hello, hi. My name is Charlotte Kenya.
Okay, how are you doing? And you have a question or comment for our panel?
I just had a comment on the, topic overall that I've always felt like things were very backwards. When it came to marijuana, like I commented on the post, and I said that I think that more like red flags should be about like prescription drugs, versus that. I really never understood why cigarettes can be legally sold, but marijuana can't.
All right. Well, we certainly thank you for you. Well, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was saying that because, it shows that, cigarettes have more dangerous chemicals than marijuana does, but people sell cigarettes every day.
All right. Well, we certainly thank you for your call and for your comments. Panel, what do you think about in response to this? Then we'll get back to the discussion between Gail.
But doing the tobacco usage back in the day, they went through about the same thing. It took them a long time to legalize tobacco for cigarette use. It didn't just come overnight. It took them a while to legalize that. And like you said, it might have greater effect. It might have more things in it. But I don't think it's a mind altering as much as marijuana is. That's what they're looking at, the mind
I'll go ahead
altering
and
thing.
weigh in on this too. It's I think you said it yourself in your comment. It's been said actually a couple of times here already. Profit. Very simple.
Yes.
Profit. I've listened to a lot of the arguments, and I think there are certain medical positives, but I think that's been the ruse of getting everything passed. It's profit, and let's be honest about it. You talk about profit and medical prescriptions that are there now. We're going to replace this with medical profits from the cannabis marijuana. So you want to follow.
The only reason
the
we're
benefits
following this,
follow the money.
the only reason this is going to be a profit thing in Arkansas, though, is because they threw the one off the ballot that would not have been about profit. It would have been about helping more people and making it affordable for them to be able to get help.
That in itself is a whole nother can of worms of the fact
That's
that
politics.
it got thrown out during the
politics.
middle of voting. So that's a whole other can of worms. But again, the simple question was asked is why are cigarettes and things like that allowed to be out there more mainstream versus what's happening now? And it's profit. You're simply going to replace one vehicle of profit making with another.
Well,
so hold on. So the question is, when it comes to the profit, then are we really trying to talk about benefit to people medically, or are we trying to talk about benefit to people's pocketbooks?
All right, we'll let Gail respond to that.
Go ahead, Miss Gail.
Those of us who support freedom and do not support the government lying to the public for almost 100 years now, they've made it into a profit. I mean, it was a profit business when it was black market because it was, you know, it was about the money.
Well, I guess here's one question that you could ask, and something I've wondered. I'm like, for example, I'll use the tobacco industry. Since the tobacco industry, you would think would already have the infrastructure in place, since they're already growing tobacco plants, couldn't they be the ones to push for it being legalized, and they convert some of their fields into cannabis fields?
It's like you're losing their profit.
But under the scenario, wouldn't they be the ones making the profits? Because they're using their infrastructure to grow the plants.
Form of research, majority of your major tobacco companies have already been retroactively having plans for that. They have things in place for that.
I would think so. It seems like it just would make sense.
Why strangle your profit making?
I would just think they're diversified.
Exactly.
Well, as far as whether or not it's going to become legal, I don't see where there's an option for it not to. When you have 30 states with medical and 9 that have already done full legalization, 13 that have decriminalization, you know, the dominoes are falling. And originally, it's going to be for profit. A lot of it is. Hopefully, in the long term, as it becomes more mainstream, you know, there's going to be some of them that's in it for profit and some of them that are in it to try to help people.
I'll ask you a simple question. Do you think anybody's just going to give it away? No. So it's always going to be for profit in one shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah, I do believe there will be a lot of them giving it away.
And we got some questions on our Facebook live stream. And of course, if you want to weigh in on
other states have a lot of programs where they reserve a
All right,
certain
panel,
amount of
we gotta
their
go to our-
harvest for low-income patients.
All right, we got to go to our live stream. And of course, if you want to weigh in on our live stream, you can just post on Facebook, or you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. Quabila Pink Jim Jones says opioids have mind-altering properties. That's why they put the warnings: do not operate heavy machinery, etc. while using. And she also says, great comment, Brad. Donna Humble says, compared to other states that have legalized marijuana, medical, recreational, I'm interested in knowing crime rates as far as if they have decreased. Also, if DWI rates would go down if more people were able to smoke. And Quabila follows up with, going back to Brad's comment, Big Pharma makes a huge profit off cigarette smokers who eventually become afflicted with some chronic illness.
DWI and drugs are two different incidents. Now, DUI, some states have DUI, driving under the influence of anything, but DWI here in Arkansas is driving while intoxicated.
Well, I'm assuming that she means DUI.
So I don't think
I already know the states who already have passed the legalization of marijuana, whether it be recreation or medical, their opioid addiction and the deaths due to opioids have dropped dramatically. Not only that, but the state revenues. I mean, billions of dollars. Look at Colorado.
Well,
They had so much money that they couldn't even take it to the bank because the federal government hadn't decriminalized it. We're still under war with a plant. Come on, people.
Yeah. And let me weigh this in before we get back to the panel. And this is something that I definitely want to address to Mrs. Raspberry. As you know, the current Attorney General has pretty much taken a stance that want to crack down federally on marijuana, whereas under the previous administration, the Attorney Generals were actually working in the opposite direction. So how do you think that's going to affect things? While you mentioned that several states are moving in one direction, it seems like now the federal government from the Department of Justice is going in the opposite direction.
I would hope that that's not going to last too much longer, for one reason or another. But I don't think that the congressmen and the senators from the states who have passed measures and have seen the benefits and the tax revenues and the lack of the problematic issues they were expecting, I don't think they're going to allow that to stand. People need to contact their representatives and say, you need to stop this man. Our state decided that this is what we're going to do, and y'all need to get out of our business. A lot of states are deciding to just start doing their own thing, regardless of what the federal government decides. States' rights is an issue, is a big issue right now.
Yeah.
And so states that have made laws are not going to allow the federal government to come into their state and try to do things. So I do think you'll see a backlash from those state governments that their people have passed a law, and they're going to have to adhere to what their people want. And that means telling the feds to back off.
But I would think that, like you were saying, every state is different, but there still should be a guideline that the state should go by, that the federal government still yet has the last say so, because
the
if
federal
that's the
government
case,
has a patent on marijuana and then continues to lie to people and say it has no medical benefit.
That's right. The reason why...
And the people of this country aren't going to keep putting up with that.
So I'm going to ask you a question here. You've been extremely passionate saying medical this, medical that, but the entire conversation since this has started, the word profit has been used plenty of times, but not once has there been a discussion about medical. I mean, you can say that this passed on the curtails of being medical, but I'm loving to see all the studies about all the humongous medical benefits that you're throwing out right now.
And Brad, we're getting ready to go to break, and we'll let Gail respond to that when we come back from the break, because I know Gail probably has a lot to say in response to that. You tuned to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLK 102.5 FM. We are discussing medical marijuana / cannabis. Now that it is legal for medical purposes, will it eventually be made legal for recreational purposes? And if so, what to do about the people who have been incarcerated? We're also going to talk about the Justice Network. The Justice Network, they're suing. They're saying that they are owed money from when they had their program tossed out. That's something that got the community very passionately involved. Stay tuned. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Angie with your KLEK Learn Spanish Minute. Okay, we are covering popular prompts today, so it's a cannibal tap. No me gustó. I did not like.
No me gustó.
I did not like that ice. Yo pienso que. I think that.
Yo pienso que.
Me gusta. I like.
Me gusta.
Descubre que. I discovered that.
Descubre que.
Descubrí que.
Descubrí que.
So it's like I discovered that I have a high GPA.
You're smart.
I'm Angie, and that was your Learn Spanish Minute on KLEK 102.5 FM.
The McDaniel Law Firm, 400 South Main Street in Jonesboro, is a firm believer in justice and equality for the minority community. The McDaniel Law Firm has fought for our rights for over 44 years. The McDaniel Law Firm offers legal help for wrongful death as well as trucking and automobile accidents. Bobby and Brett McDaniel are available for a free consultation at 870-336-4747 or at www.mcdaniellawyers.com.
Meineke of Jonesboro is now Starks Auto Service, a full-service auto repair and vehicle maintenance center, offering engine and transmission repair, brake service, tires, oil changes, and more, performed by ASE certified mechanics. The all-new Starks Auto Service, 2813 South Caraway Road in Jonesboro, 870-204-7112. Starks Auto Service, Jonesboro.com.
Support for KLEK is brought to you by
Fullness of Joy Ministries, 2120 Thorn Street, Jonesboro, under the direction of Bishop Adrian Rogers and co-pastor Susan Rogers. www.fjministries.org.
From the KLEK Community Calendar, New St. John Missionary Baptist Church presents Back to School Bash and Diaper Distribution. There will be school supplies given away as well as diapers. There will also be food, games, music, and door prizes. This event will take place August 12th, 2017 from 10 o'clock a.m. until 2 o'clock p.m. at New St. John Missionary Baptist Church, 310 North Main Street in Jonesboro.
And now back to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM.
KLEK 102.5 FM. And as you can tell from, we've been having a lively discussion off the air. This is Our Thoughts on the Matter. We have Mrs. Amanda Donovan. We have Brother Cobbs, who is now joined us. We have Mr. Brad Dowell. And we have Mrs. Gail Raspberry, who is a big advocate for medical marijuana/cannabis, and she's also with the NEA Cannabis Advocates. Before we went to break, Mr. Dial was asking Ms. Raspberry a question. So, Brad, go ahead and ask your question again, and we're going to let Gail respond, and then we're going to try to transition into the Justice Network.
Very simply, just to kind of spark thought on this, would be that, since we've started the conversation today, the word profit has come up a numerous amount of times, but this was passed on the curtails of being medical. So why is it, no matter what, we talk about the medical benefits, but it always comes back to profit? So what is the goal?
The goal, for me, the goal would be to help as many people as humanly possible, as affordably as possible for them. Would I like to make a living being a part of that? Yes. But that's, everybody has to make a living. There will be problems with greedy, money-hungry people whose primary goal becomes the profit. And I don't want to work for that person. Personally.
Like I said, it's a general question about the topic, because I've seen that majority of states that have passed this, it all started off as the curtails of pulling the heartstrings of medical. But at the end of the day, we always talk about the profit. So do you feel that potentially that, when it comes to legislation, a lot of legislation is put out there to really get the heartstrings of the people, and they vote for something that doesn't really turn out to be what it was intended?
Well, when legislators see an opportunity to seize tax money,
they take it.
So that's why I made the comment earlier, follow the money.
The citizens frequently follow suit by example. Right. And that's sad. That's a sad situation in our country where somebody's profit margin is more important than. But to me, the whole issue goes back to personal freedom. When you look at the fact that it used to be in the pharmacopoeia, it used to be utilized by medical professionals in this country.
So did
they
LSD
argued
and
against
it over the counter.
Right. I'm for the complete legalization of any drug. It shouldn't be criminal to experiment with mind-altering substances. People have been doing it for all humanity. And to make it a crime and to put somebody in a jail cell for it and to charge them exorbitant fees is unacceptable. And I do everything I can to speak out against that every chance I get, especially when certain groups of people are targeted for that.
Once again, if you'd like to weigh in, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, the phone number is 870-277-1080. You can also weigh in on our Facebook live feed. But because were you about to weigh in? Looks like you was about to.
No, I'm waiting on the next one.
Okay, well, we're going to actually get ready to transition to that. Of course, I'm sure we will come back to marijuana and cannabis, because a lot of this actually ties together. And I'm actually going to read this from NEAreport.com. The Justice Network is suing District Judges Jonesboro. Well, looks like we'll go to the phones. KLK, who's this?
This is Renita Lewis.
All right.
What comment y'all talking about?
Okay.
I have a medical condition that requires me to have medical use. In the beginning, I'm disabled when no doctors see me. And now that the medical is in effect, now everybody will see me. And y'all talking about the profit. What about on a fixed income? Will it be supplied for me or my health wisdom?
So are you asking that now that it is illegal, will your prescriptions be covered by by Medicare or whatever insurance you're on, like your other medicine?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that personally myself. Gail, you may.
No, it won't. That'll be a problem. Now, if your personal physician is willing to sign the certification confirming that you have one of the conditions that's on the list, there shouldn't be any extra charge for that other than your normal office visit. But if your physician is not willing to sign that, or if you are afraid to ask your physician to sign that for fear of losing access to other medications, if they're against it or something, a lot of people get cut off from their pain meds when their doctor finds out. that they're utilizing cannabis. So if you don't want to speak to your doctor about it, you're going to have to see a different doctor. And there are some doctors starting to emerge in Arkansas that are publicly saying, I am willing to sign off on these referrals. But please be wary of who you see and how much you pay them. That will not be covered by insurance. It'll be an out-of-pocket expense. But they, in their defense, they will have to review your entire medical history. They'll have to give you a complete physical examination, and they're going to put in their medical license on the line to confirm that you have one of these conditions, and they're not going to risk that. So, the fees, are, from what I've seen so far, are ranging from between $150 and $300 to see one of those doctors.
Profit.
Hopefully, my organization that I'm trying to get started, the NEA Cannabis Advocates, is going to be seeking out physicians and other professionals that are willing to provide services to low-income patients free of charge, or have like certain veterinarians do a day at Tractor Supply where they give $10 rabies shots or whatever. And so I'm hoping to generate some interest in helping those patients like yourself that are on fixed and limited incomes, be able to get those referrals, however we can make that happen.
All right, and sir, we thank you for your call.
Now,
and also dispensaries, once they get opened, providing medication, because I did work for SU7, which did have a thing in place to help low-income patients be able to afford it. And so every dispensary was going to be required to have a certain reserve of their harvest for low-income patients to have a reduced rate.
Right.
Now, I got a quick
Well,
question.
let's go to Facebook comments, and we want to get. I do want to get back to Justice Network because we're still going to. I'm sure this is going to still come up. Donna Humble says, I would rather my money go to actual natural proven health benefits versus chemicals that cause more problems. It should be left up to the individual if what type of treatment they choose. Kubila says, I agree with Donna since it's been proven that man-made meds have been proven more harmful than natural options. Why can't money be spent on research and the creation of more holistic options?
Now, I've seen...
That's because the feds, they won't come off Schedule 1 and they can't do any research on it if they don't take it off Schedule 1. Right. So call Senator Cotton and Senator Boozman and Representative Crawford or whoever your representative is and say, hey, y'all need to get off Schedule 2. They can make it happen. The DEA and Sessions don't make all the decisions.
I've heard and read where on the internet, now I want to see if this is true. If you get a prescription, you are no longer able to purchase a firearm. Have you read
that's
that?
Correct.
That's correct.
That is correct.
Well,
and when you fill out the background check, it's probably gonna say, are you a medical cannabis user?
My
and
thing
that'll
is
disqualify you.
But it's okay to be on OxyContin, hydrocodone, Xanny bars, and everything else, and be able to purchase a gun. But just a plant, you cannot.
Right.
All right, let's get back to the Justice Network, and then we can come back to this. Again, this is from NEAReport.com. The Justice Network is suing district judges, Jonesboro and other cities, and Craighead County itself are the defendants. A lawsuit filed by the Justice Network is claiming that the amnesty program instituted by two newly elected judges in Craighead County is a violation of civil rights and state law. They want a higher court to stop the program and prevent the judges from relieving defendants of their legal obligations to the network, a for-profit probation service provider. District judges David Bowling and Tommy Fowler are both defendants in the complaint filed on June 30th, 2017 in the United States Eastern District of Arkansas, Jonesboro Division, along with Bay, Bono, Brooklyn, Caraway, Cache, Egypt, Jonesboro, Lake City, Monette, and Craighead County. The judges are defendants to a civil action by the Justice Network Incorporated, which was the probation services provided for Craighead County for over 20 years until 2017. Both Bowling and Fowler won elections in 2016 for district judge, and no small part of their respective victories was a mutual position against the use of the Justice Network for probation services due to being for-profit business besieged by complaints and negative experiences, and that does again come from NEAReport.com. So, all right, guys, what do you think? Justice Network, they're screaming foul. They're unhappy about the amnesty program. So, what do y'all think?
I tell them to suck it up, Buttercup. I've never been a fan of them. I have seen what they have done to these people in Northeast Arkansas. I'm sorry.
I have one question.
Yes, what's your question?
Who started this whole deal with them? Who signed off on that?
Well, the Justice Network originally started
they
when...
have failed to provide any kind of contract.
Mm-hmm.
And they you know,
Well,
this Jonesboro Sun article talks about enacted policies aimed at ending. Well, no, wait a minute.
But their contract was mainly the sheet of paper that you signed that said that
But you were forced to sign that.
you're forced to sign.
That is a illegal
Right.
monopoly. There
The
was not
defendants
any other
didn't have
option.
a choice.
Right,
So-
you're forced to sign. I did it.
You're being forced to enter into a contract.
Well, Donald Humble
with
says on
somebody
Facebook,
else.
the Justice Network never had a contract with Craighead County. The judges can do what they want.
Yeah, it was, I believe, from, I think this discussion came up a few different times within the court meetings. There never was actually a written contract between the county and them. I believe it was a verbal good faith, if I remember correctly.
There's a
How
lot
did
of
they let
that
them get
going
that
on.
far then? It was just a verbal.
I don't understand
I can't
how.
answer that one. I don't know.
I don't understand how they actually accepted this in court. How Blackman said, like I said, there are text messages. You know, Blackman said on in judgment, whereas his wife was over the office collecting payment. How can that legally go through court, especially under the Fifth Amendment? You know, that it should be foul on them.
They're claiming to be deprived of property without due process.
Good.
The defendants didn't get any due process in
defendants
selecting
didn't
who
get it.
handled their. You know what? If you're going to have a business where let it make it competitive. Let the defendants choose which company they want to have their
Just out of
contract
curiosity, were there any other? I'm not defending
No,
it.
there's
That's
not.
whatsoever.
That was
I think
the only
that's
option.
probably the issue. There were no other options in the area, so I'm not defending it
I
whatsoever.
don't think they wanted, because it came out of Memphis.
Right.
It was set up in Memphis, and it came here 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been profiting ever since then. And they will send it to the credit bureau. If you
They
don't
would,
pay them,
and
they will send it to
I'll
the
tell
credit
you
bureau.
right now, they wouldn't give you a receipt.
No.
And I'll tell you right now, they wouldn't, when you went in for work release. Now, I had never went through it, but I've helped several people who did. But they wouldn't, you signed in, they wouldn't sign off on nothing. The only reason why this one gentleman I helped, and it really, really hurt me so bad, is he almost ended up in jail. If I wouldn't have been taking pictures every day he showed up for, probation, they would have said he wasn't there.
Right.
Oh, I don't even want to get off on
Right.
that.
And what recourse do people like him have
None.
when they are thrown in jail for their failure to keep the records properly?
Right.
And
And I've seen several people where it takes 6-7 months and they come back and it seems to be $6 is the magic number. Because I've known 4 people, they come back 6-7 months, they have FTAs out the wazoo because they wasn't notified and they were supposed to.
See,
it was $6 left over.
We have a Facebook comment from Donna Humble says, I worked at the Justice Network in district court afterwards. Well, Donna, if you worked at those, we'd love for you to either on our live stream or to call in and kind of compare and contrast your experiences both at the Justice Network and with the current system that we have in place now.
Well, the FTA and contempt of court, that was started before the Justice Network came along. They set your court date, you go to court and they give you up to 6 months or whatever to pay the fine off. But if you don't pay it off, they're going to set you up the next available court date. You got to be there for court. They don't tell you that. And then by them not telling you that, that's contempt of court. By contempt of court, then you're not showing up, that's failure to appear. You get 2 more warrants added on to a $350 ticket. And each one of them is $350 to $400. And then if you get a FTA for not showing up, your license gets suspended. They don't tell you your license is suspended. You riding down the road and your license is suspended.
Right.
KLK, who's this?
I done did it.
KLK, who's this?
This is Donna Humble.
Hey.
Thank you for calling.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, we can hear you, Donna.
Excuse me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I worked at the Justice Network back in, I want to say it was 2012 to 2013. The fees and fines that these people occurred when they had to go to do public service work, to me, was outrageous. Completely messed up system. When someone has to go to pay to work and pay fines as well, there's a big problem with that. And we're talking about a private industry.
Yeah.
We're not talking about something that goes back into our community or our county.
It goes right in their pocket.
It goes out of state
Go to Tennessee.
into another state where they profit from that. while these individuals can never get out of the system.
Never.
Public service work records, they
Well,
were
it
never...
snowballs into more and more and more until they just get dug all the way
that's
down to the
exactly
bottom of the ravine.
what
A lot of
happened.
people
And as
do.
far as the amnesty program goes, it was always up to the judge. Even when late Judge Huckabee, that's when I worked at district court, when these people would come in to pay off these fines and to do away with their NTAs, non-payment, a lot of times it was the judge's discretion of whether to waive that public service work that they had the FTA or the non-payment on. And many times Judge Huckabee did so. I think it should be more of the individual being able to work off those fines if their income puts them in a position to where they can't pay fines and provide for their family.
Right.
That's
right. You're right.
That's the way it should function. But these people that are getting punished double when the Justice Network was in place. Yes, and sometimes quadruple. I've seen people come in and be short 10 hours from their public service work, and I'm talking some of these people had 100 hours plus of public service work to do. And, you know, of course, I tried many times to say, okay, we're going to extend this, but of course you had to pay to extend it, which was crazy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, these people are working 40 hours a week for their family. They have to pay to get an extension to do public service work hours. And then if for some reason those public service work hours weren't signed off on, if they weren't reported correctly, then it was, you know, tough for the, I'm going to say the victim in this case, because this is what these defendants were. They were victims.
That's exactly
and they
right.
fell into the system.
They did.
Yeah. I'm glad that the judges ran on that issue and made it a public issue.
And they
where,
stuck to their guns on what they ran for. We need more people like that. They shouldn't be slapped in the face and.
Right.
I mean,
So I think we can all.
Very much so. We can all go and drive on the highway, and we've all been guilty at some point of going over the speed limit, or not paying attention, or running a stop sign, and
not having an insurance
when you went
card.
right, and when you go to court, and when you were slapped with 20, 40 hours of public service work, I mean, to me, you're treating those individuals like they were hardened criminals.
Slave
I mean,
labor.
these are exactly, and these are, you know, some of these citizens had never had a ticket in their life, and yet you're telling them they have to go do 20 or 40 hours because of something. They were going 10 miles over the speed limit, or they were doing some misdemeanor, and to me that's a little harsh.
What's so sad? It was for profit. Like Brad kept saying, everything in the show has been so for profit. Well, that was slave trade for profit. It was like we were back in that 1800s again.
Well, Donna, we definitely want to thank you for calling in and
that's why I voiced my opinion many a times to city council, mayor, higher up, just at the point for me working there, when, okay, the city and county, which they're doing now, putting a plan in place for the people with the higher misdemeanor charges, like prior theft charges, things of that nature, that probably do need to be on probation. They need some type of rules and regulations to go by. Or, you know, someone that has been a repeat offender that may need to do some probation. But that needs to be done within our government, within our judicial system, within the county and city, not by a private company.
All right, well, Donna,
I mean, it just,
Donna, we certainly
that way.
Well, Don, we certainly thank you for your comments and for
Yes,
weighing in.
yes, we do.
got about 30 seconds, so we're going to go ahead and let you go. But we do appreciate you for your insight and for checking in and giving your insight as someone who has actually been inside of the system.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we got about 20 seconds. So I guess we'll just go ahead and get ready to go into our break. When we come back from break, we are going to wrap up our discussion. We've been talking about medical marijuana and cannabis. Will it eventually become legal, recreational? what to do about the people who have been locked up. And this kind of also ties in what we're saying with the Justice Network, because a lot of these people who were locked up on these charges related to marijuana had to deal with the Justice Network. So stay tuned. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
There's nothing new about tattoos, but getting them can be riskier for your health than ever. Before you go under the ink pen, consider these negatives of permanent body art. Infection at the tattoo site, allergic reaction to the tattooing method or dye used, scarring that can include raised scar tissue also known as keloids, infectious diseases like hepatitis B and C, tetanus or HIV if unsterilized equipment is used. Remember, tattoos are permanent. The words or design you love today may be an embarrassment a few years from now. And depending on where they are on your body, they could interfere with your options for jobs or professional advancement. A less risky option for body art is henna. It's temporary and safer. I'm Alexis Comer for Black Health Now.
Black Health Now. Black Health Now is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
The Mu Omicron Lambda Chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was established on January 1st, 1977, originally serving Blytheville, Arkansas, and now serving Jonesboro, Blytheville, Osceola, Marion, and West Memphis, Arkansas. Today, the chapter continues to make an impact by focusing on Alpha's national community outreach initiatives such as My Brother's Keeper, A Voteless People is a Hopeless People, Go to High School, Go to College, Project Alpha, Boy Scouts, and the March of Dimes. The Mu Omicron Lambda Chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is committed to Alpha's mission of developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence, while providing service and advocacy to the community. More information about the Mu Omicron Lambda Chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is available at MOL Alphas on Facebook or via email at molalphas@gmail.com.
KLEK is starting a new fundraiser which will allow listeners to donate to KLEK while buying groceries. KLEK is a part of the Kroger Community Rewards fundraising program. When shoppers visit a participating Kroger and scan his or her Kroger Plus Shoppers card, a portion of the savings goes back to KLEK to help keep it on the air. Details on how to sign up for the program are available at KrogerCommunityRewards.com and at KLEKFM.org. This is a KLEK fundraiser.
And now back to our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM.
On the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM with our panel, Mrs. Amanda Donovan, Mrs. Gail Raspberry of NEA Cannabis Advocates, Brother Cobbs, and Mr. Brad Dow. We've been discussing all throughout the hour medical marijuana / cannabis. Now that it is legal in Arkansas, is recreational use next? Also, what to do about the people who are locked up because of charges dealing with marijuana, and also the Justice Network. So all that is on the table, and so we got about 8-9 minutes left in the hour, so we're going to go ahead and just let our discussion flow. And you still got time to get in on our discussion. Of course, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, the phone number is 870-277-1080. You can also weigh in on our Facebook live stream.
I'd like to see it go recreational.
Well, I'd like to see it called adult use.
Yes.
They don't call alcohol consumption recreational alcohol use. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It should be an adult choice.
Right.
18 to 21.
21. 21.
Okay.
I'd say 21. But drinking should be 21. The draft should be, if there's a draft, it should be 21 and not 18.
A question for you.
Nobody should be drafted to go to war at 18 and not be able to purchase a beer.
Do you feel that the popularity of the vote was
from a lot of people. It's going, ooh, weed. Now I can get a card to smoke. I mean, do you think that was kind of a? I mean, I'm asking a question. Do you think that was a popularity of people just thinking they can get a card to go smoke?
No, I think a lot of that had to do with Dr. Sanjay Gupta with CNN and his 3 documentary specials on the benefits of cannabis medicines for epilepsy, and I think people were like, oh wow, because a lot of people know somebody with a severe epileptic in their family or somebody that they're caring for.
Look at a cancer patient who basically could starve to death from chemo.
And a lot of it is people just saying, you know what?
Be compassionate.
My grandpa had cancer,
Yeah.
and I wish he had something to help him.
Right.
You know, and
well, because I know a lot of people that really voted for it because they feel like they're just gonna be able to get a card and they can smoke. I mean, there are
I
other.
think that might say something about who you know.
Oh, no, that's a personal tab. What do you think? No, the question of asking that is that I don't think a lot of people are educated enough to realize there are far other medical applications of it versus just smoking.
Yes.
Right.
And I think there's an education thing that needs to be done.
Arkansas is historically behind the times and not
Oh,
ahead
yes.
of them. And so as the residents and citizens of the state start to see that evidence, I think they'll become more and more open to saying, you know what, the sky didn't fall.
Mm-hmm.
It really didn't, you know, and that they'll be more accepting of it for personal use than they have been in the past.
And I know some other discussions I've had with people is how do you think passing of medical marijuana use will affect Arkansas being a right-to-work state? And
that's scary.
Well, so
us being a right-to-work state alone is scary to me.
And that's an interesting discussion because, you know, some people maybe because of their religious or other beliefs may say, okay, well, if you use cannabis, even if it's for medical purpose, that goes against what I believe in, so you're fired.
Well, I don't know if I even go in that route. Let me paint a picture for you. Maybe I'm just being discussion based. Well, no. I mean, you need to think about it. This really could happen. Is you could be hanging around with people, and you might be around with somebody that has a prescription card to smoke medical marijuana. Okay. Well, you have secondhand smoke. Okay. Secondhand contact. Let's say that person that is just there goes to work, they get hurt. Maybe they get drug tested. So how would that affect a person? And so those are just real life applications. I've been a manager and I've been a hiring manager before, and that truly can happen. So being a right to work state, that person could immediately
lose their
job and their income and their livelihood, all because of that. I mean, again, it's a hypothetical, but being a right to work state makes it a really interesting bag.
It's going to add to the problems of it being a right to work state. But when you can go into work every day and be fired for any reason whatsoever with no excuse, it doesn't really matter what the cause is.
But again, I'm just being devil's advocate. I'm just talking.
Right.
I will tell you right now, my sister, she lives in Seattle, Washington. Okay. She's an RN nurse. And they're all accepting for it up there.
Right.
I mean, come on now. But there's going to be certain industries where they're going to have a problem with that. I mean, DOT's going to be one of them.
Well, the evidence is going to show eventually, and people will start to recognize that the THC component that causes euphoria is something that does build up in your system. Your body stores it
for 30 days
and slow releases it. So you cannot use a cannabis product for 2 or 3 weeks and still have THC in your fat cells that, you know, are.
And I'll tell you another one, and I have actually seen this, my person, somebody who smoked it, they're really, really heavy, hadn't touched it in like 2 or 3 years, started losing weight, popped a surprise drug test.
And it released some.
It released it.
Yeah.
Right. All right, and we have a comment from Nathan Coleman. I'm sure this will be interesting since...
well, there's a tolerance factor, too.
Nathan says they are working on instruments that will be able to detect marijuana impairments such as a PBT does for alcohol. It depends on if the employer is against use or impairment. Well, Nathan, we certainly appreciate you weighing in on our live stream.
And so again, the reason for asking those questions is because that will impact everybody. You know, so there are a lot of far more reaching. There are a lot of far more reaching applications of just what it is on the surface, and that's the whole point of asking the question.
Right.
Okay. Back to the Justice Network. Okay. Now, what's going to be set in place? I know you said, but let us know what's going to be set in place after they get rid of the Justice Network.
The last thing I read was that it was going in-house with Jonesboro Police Department.
Yeah.
That was the last thing I read about it, is they were going to handle their own. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I would, and I don't know specifically, but I would think that it would be, you go to court in front of the judge determines, whatever fine or public service, whatever you get, and then I guess you would do it to the city or the county or some other organization, but I don't know for sure. But that's what I would think it would be. But somebody.
Okay.
That was the last thing I read.
Okay, and then another question was about the people that's already incarcerated, and then the ones that's maybe on the process of getting incarcerated. Okay, the law has passed. Now, what about them that get caught now that the law has passed? Because they go different places to get.
I think consideration should be made as to whether or not they have a qualifying condition. But, as of right now, until they get that card and until that dispensary is opened and they can legally purchase their medicine from that dispensary, then they would still be subject to arrest. Hopefully the judge would review the evidence, and if it's a cancer patient who's obviously ill or somebody that can verify they have a condition, they might get a more lenient sentence or fine
based on the nature of the crime.
But that's going to be
And we got a response to Nathan's comment on our Facebook live stream. Donna says, Nathan, what about prescription meds? People that take meds every day and builds up a tolerance, would that instrument work the same way? Someone who smokes every day, I would think, would build up a tolerance. Well, Nathan, if you're still on our live stream, feel free to respond to that comment, because we only got about 15 seconds left.
Can we get a list of what is covered on our
I can post that.
Post it on our
state
stream.
website, isn't it?
You got 3, 2?
Yeah.
Well, we're getting into our last 2 minutes, but yes, I believe Mrs. Raspberry, since she is an advocate for this, can provide a list of the conditions that will be covered.
I'll put it up on the thread of the live stream.
All right, thank you. All right, minute and 45 seconds. Y'all, excuse me, can't talk today. Final thoughts.
Y'all have a blessed weekend.
I'll be on in the mornings. Call in for your
gospel
dedication, Victory Praise Gospel.
I guess as always, if you have comments or discussion topics you'd like us to touch on, just let us know. Put it on the Facebook page, or I guess email KLEK directly.
And of course, you can email us at klek@klekfm.org, or you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. You can also inbox us on our Facebook page. We always love to hear your comments and your feedback. We want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. Also want to thank our panel. Thank you all for volunteering each and every one of your Saturdays to come to the studio to have these lively discussions for the community. We want to thank Mrs. Raspberry for being our special guest contributor for this week. And if you would like to be a guest contributor or you know of an issue that you feel strongly and passionate about, then let us know. Give us a call or message us, and we can probably get you on as a guest panelist, and we can talk about the issues that matter to you, because this program, it is for you. This program is for the community to talk about the issues that matter most to you from a local, state, and national perspective. And I see Brother Cobbs and Mr. Dow want to have a little conversation, so I'll turn the guest mics off while I run my mouth for the next 25 seconds. Shout out to my girl Kubila, who always holds it down. Shout out to all of the volunteers who help make KLEK possible. Thank you to all the underwriters, donors, sponsors. Most importantly, thank you to the good Lord upstairs for blessing us all and making all of this happen. So, you guys
I'd like to thank you, sir, for your community activism and your hosting of the political candidates for interview.
You are listening to our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program offering opinions from all sides of the issues concerning local, state, and national topics of importance to the Jonesboro community. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters, donors, or sponsors.
KLEK